In this video, we're going to give you a full walkthrough of our straight axle swapped or SAS 1998 Toyota T100. So with that, let's get into it. So order of operations, we're going to cover key specs about the vehicle, then go around the exterior and show things that have been done to the vehicle, so as it stands, and go exterior, interior, then motor. And then after that, we're going to cover some of the things and ambitions that we have and had for the truck as it continues to get built up. So with that, let's rock. So 1998 Toyota T100 SR5 4x4 with the 5-speed manual transmission. The truck has the 3.4 liter 5 VZFE motor, which is pretty bulletproof. The truck is built up, so it has a straight axle conversion, also known as, aka it's SAS, and then in addition it has a 14-bolt rear end that we've put. Now when we designed this vehicle and built it, our goal was to be able to drive this thing across the US while also being capable enough to hit some pretty hardcore trails to get beyond where most people can get. So truck does have, as it sits, around 258,000 miles on the odometer. The stock or original motor, stock and original transmission and transfer case. And it does have some other modifications in place, with the build, but we'll get into those as we go. So we're going to take you around really quickly just to show the highlights, and then we'll come back and go into more detail on each component. So really pretty truck everywhere we go. I mean, the conversation has started. You'll get a lot of looks with this thing, and we truly have loved it. Okay, so on the front end, we've got an ARB bumper that we custom fit to the truck. We've got a straight axle out of a 1976 Chevy K20. So it's a HD version of the axle for a 3/4 ton truck. On the ARB bumper, we've done some custom fog lights and turn signals. On the sides of the truck, you'll find heavy-duty rock sliders. You've got 18-inch wheels wrapped in 35s as it stands. Got the extra or high clearance camper shell. That camper shell is actually made specifically for the T100. It was very hard and very rare and hard to find thing. Back end, got the stock bumper still, receiver hitch. Oh, of course, rear axle. This is a newer version, newer version 14-bolt out of a 2006 Chevy 2500. On this side of the pickup, same as the other side, of course. As for the back of the truck, it's pretty stock inside with a few things. So a lot of clearance in here. I mean, the camper shell we've really liked. So we've put some horse stall mats in the back, just helps with grip and a little extra weight for when the truck's unloaded. Camper shell up top, we had some max tracks, built some custom bracketry and stuff to keep them up out the way. And then on that side, you got your high lift, built some custom bracketry to keep and store that out of the way and out of the weather. Oh, do have some extra power ran to the back. Actually had some auxiliary lighting back here that we took out, but still have the power. Also have a cigarette lighter in that corner. So yeah. Very pretty truck. I'd say it's in, especially for its age and stuff, overall good condition. And this thing has been used for what we built it for, so it has some bumps and bruises. But overall, I would say it is still in much better condition than a lot of vehicles its age. So we have cared for this thing. We try to take care of the things we do have. So yeah. As far as the inside of the vehicle, again in good shape. We do always have seat covers on this, but we took them off just to be able to show. Have some camo seat covers, but upholstery and stuff's in decent condition overall. Only real flaws is a couple tears on the driver's side from, I guess from the prior owner. You got the extended cab out back, or extended cab in the back, should I say, so place to sit. We used to have, we actually at one point had built a platform when we had a dog for them to enjoy back here. We also made it easy to remove these rear windows, so that way we could take them out when we're trail riding and the dog could look out the window and get some extra breathing room. Just pull this back. So yeah, almost 258K, pretty stock in here, with exception to the aftermarket radio, the rocker panel, switches down there for auxiliary items, and then a couple extra cigarette lighters for charging things. So yeah, but otherwise good condition. With that, let's go into detail on the exterior and motor. All right, so details on the ARB bumper. Can't remember the exact year, but this bumper is actually designed for one of the earlier generations Toyota Land Cruisers 100 series. There is no stock ARB bumper made for the T100, so this is the closest fit we could find. Had to do several modifications to get it to fit. Chopped off 2 or 3 inches, added some custom bracketry and stuff to make it look nice and clean with the body lines. We put some custom fog lights on, custom turn signals, and had to make all custom mounts to fit it to the vehicle. So we extended the frame, just made some custom mounts, and designed this to where you can easily take this bumper off. So works out really well. On the bumper, we've put a Smittybilt 10K winch, synthetic rope, has the wireless receiver on it as well. Really haven't had to winch too terribly much, but we have winched and had some hard pulls. Everything has worked out really well. Also use this winch for plenty of just removing trees and other things around the house. So yeah, great bumper, works and fits really well. Next, front axle. So front axle is Dana 44 HD out of a 1976 Chevy K20. We rebuilt this axle from head to toe before we put it in. Why did we go with the 1976? Because the knuckles are already flat, so you didn't have to machine them flat. All we did is have to send the knuckles to a machine shop and have them tap threaded holes in to put on your drag link arm. So yeah, open diff on the front. Goal long term is to put a air locker in this thing. 488 gearing front and rear. We do have, I believe it's 1/4 inch wall DOM tubing, if not close to it, for the tie rod as well as your drag link. You do have 1-ton ends on both. Disc brakes on the front. Disc brakes on the front as well. As far as your axles, you've got chromoly outers and then just stock inners. What else? Leaf sprung front. To do the conversion, we utilized a lot of WFO parts, high quality parts, not just some cheapo things. 1/4 inch material. Again, very heavy duty, very happy, good company, great to work with. So we welded and gusseted everything to the frame. Had to do a lot of testing to get everything the way it wanted to be, where we wanted it, and to work well. Custom leaf pack. So it's actually their stock front leaf pack out of the K20, but we had to customize the pack to get the ride that we wanted. What else on this front end? yeah, I believe that's it on the front end. As far as bump stops, we just made some simple custom bump stop bracketry. For the shocks, we've got Bilstein 5100 series shocks all the way around. We did put on WFO frame plates. Those are made for the Tacoma as well. They all fit. The same thing for the 3rd gen Tacoma. And standard shock hoops. I believe we've got 12-inch travel shocks on the front. Can't remember exactly, don't quote me, but I'm pretty confident it's 12-inch travel shocks. For the rear of the axle, the rear of the front axle, drive shaft, custom square tube drive shaft that we made ourselves. Do have a aftermarket pinion from WFO Concepts that allows you to adapt to the Toyota components. Actually also allows the couple different Toyota bolt patterns that you have. So we've got that on there. For the square tubing drive shaft, works really well for us. You can go up to around 25 miles an hour with some vibration. If you're below 15, you don't feel anything. But yeah, could put on a custom-made drive shaft from an actual shop. But not something we felt necessary. This thing you can beat up on and not have to worry. Yeah, that is it. 4-inch shackles. Of course, had to do all the custom bracketry and frame extension to get all that to fit. Had to rotate the catalytic converter to allow clearance as well. You will see some surface rust on the build, but nothing structural. Everything's still in really good shape. As for the sliders, I can't remember who we bought these from. Hindsight would have just made them myself, but hitch receiver, square tubing, very tough stuff. 1/4-inch DOM on the outside. We have done some hard hits on these things and they haven't flinched. You can see there. We have welded them to the frame. We've added custom bracketry to ensure everything is solid, front and rear. Again, just some surface rust, but yeah, they've worked really well for us. Moving to the back axle, this is your GM 14 bolt. This is the newer version of it, so you've got big thing is you've got fins on it to help it cool a little better. So done custom work to this thing as well. Reason we got the newer 14 bolt, we did actually have an older 14 bolt out of the 76 originally, and then put this one in. So this is a 2006 Chevy 2500, specifically with the diesel. Reason we did that route is because you get the factory disc brakes for the axle, and then it actually has a built-in parking brake on the inside, which still needs to be adapted to work on this truck, but haven't done that. So axle itself, 488 gearing. We have a aftermarket. Let's go show you, I guess. Aftermarket diff cover. I believe it's 1/4-inch steel as well. We've taken some heavy hits on this thing, and this works really well. Shaved this 14 bolt for maximum ground clearance. Also has a Detroit locker in it. Works really well for us on-road and off-road. What else with this axle? Yeah, I believe that is it on it. Bilstein shocks on the back. Those are 14-inch travel. And then as far as the suspension setup, Chevy 63s on there. We did customize this pack as well, put in a few extra leafs to get the ride we wanted. Truck does have a 4-inch lift block, which it would be nice to get rid of long term, but that would require custom springs made or purchased. And frankly, we have not had any issues with these blocks. The truck, just for the truck power output relative to the spring sturdiness and general suspension setup, we do not have any issues, especially with the hardcore off-roading. So not anything to worry about. I guess staying under here actually is for the drive line. So we do still have the stock two-piece drive line. We have about I believe it's an inch spacer on it that we put in. That was put in to try keep the your slip yoke at its stock position. We also replaced the Toyota stock center support bearing with the one from a Ford Ranger. It just seems to last a lot longer than the Toyota one. And yeah, we did try a one-piece expensive aftermarket drive shaft. Initially, did not like it, went back to the stock one, made it work. Okay, so stock bed, camper shell on top, we've gone over all that. In order to adapt this rear axle to the truck, we did have to plumb in since you lost your stock parking brake, we did plumb in a line lock, and what this does is it acts as your parking brake. So you press and hold down on your brake pedal, you lock the line, and that holds hydraulic pressure on the rear brakes. And then we also have a load proportioning valve we plumbed in, and that replaces the stock load proportioning valve. If you're not familiar with what that is, on the stock rear axles, you have a little lever. So as more weight, essentially as the rear suspension goes up or down, it applies more or less braking, or allows more or less braking pressure or power to the back. And so this replaces that. You adjust it manually, easy thing to do. For the most part, you don't have to adjust it. If you end up weighing down the back, you would allow more braking pressures to the back. And the intent of this is so that way the rear does not lock up on you. So yeah, pretty simple there. Otherwise, I believe that's it on the exterior. We're going to pop the hood and show you next on the motor bay side of things what we've done. Okay, so under the hood, for the most part, it is stock. Again, bulletproof and just works well. First thing we did was replace the stock master cylinder with a relative GM master cylinder to ensure proper braking. We also plumbed that in adequately, and we also replaced the stock alternator with alternator out of a Cadillac, I believe it's Daville, however you say it. What that does is the stock alternators on this one, they only produce like 80 amps. This one increases that like 60 to 80%. So I believe it's at like idle, it outputs like 120 amps. And then at 3,000 RPMs roughly, I believe it outputs like 140 to 160. So that's been a great one. Allows you to power all your additional accessories, the winch especially. And also one thing you'll notice is at idle, if you have your brights on, the brights do not dim. Otherwise, other than some accessory wiring and stuff that's been put in just over time, nothing too special under the hood. We have done all the major maintenance on the motor, timing belt, water pump, thermostat, this auxiliary or accessory belt, should I say, radiator, all that's been replaced within the last 1,000 miles to 2,000 miles. Newer battery, brand new clutch master and slave, and that soft line. But yeah, AC and all is blows cold, heat blows well. So yeah, very happy with that overall. So next, goals, ambitions, things we'd like to do to upgrade this truck further. We think it would be awesome. So probably first would be put this on 37s or slightly larger, and probably go to 17s instead of 18-inch wheels, just because that's such a more common thing. Next would be to lock the front end, do an air locker most likely. That would just make this thing drastically more capable, even though it is very capable as is and get pretty much anywhere, especially with the winch. And then third would be to put a dual transfer case in here. That would be awesome for the slow, just often rocky trails that we have here in Tennessee. And then fourth, get rid of the stock bed, camper, bumper, and do an awesome custom setup. Something like what you'll see a lot of the Aussies do, with kind of a setup with the say partial canopy that can open, put some slide drawers in there, fridge, and just make that nice, usable, accessible. And then the little back quarter, have a flat open panel where you could put firewood, dirty, just things that happen from trail riding and stuff, put that on the back. And then after that, I mean, truck's in great good shape, not too much more we would do. Oh, last, maybe put like a little roof rack on the front. Thought that would be cool with maybe like an additional light bar or something for those night rides. Yeah, so that's about it. Oh, and one more thing for us in particular, we would repaint the truck. Not a black truck kind of person. Would paint this to a lighter color, so some kind of probably lighter gray, considered like that sand dust, but that would be another next step. So some of the nuances that we have with this build with the two-piece drive shaft. Sometimes when you get around like 70, 75 miles an hour, you'll get a vibration that comes and goes. It's not consistent, but what that is, my belief, is two-piece drive shaft, compound angles. These drive shafts don't like lift, because that just drastically increases that compound angle, and that vibration, or that came to play, it actually happened before we even did the swap. It was there when we originally did, when the vehicle was stock, and we did a 2.5 inch lift to it in stock form. But so yeah, something also know like the Tundra suffered from for people who put lifts on them. So little nuance there. Front drive shaft angles, they're very close, or as good as you can get them. But if you wanted to completely get rid of the vibrations on the front end when you're in four-wheel drive, you can drive 20, 25, 30 miles an hour in four-wheel drive. You'll start to feel vibrations for sure. It's worked great for us. We never really go fast off-road anyway. Most of it's just 10 miles an hour or less. So if you do want to drive 40, 45 miles an hour in four-wheel drive, just not going to happen in this setup. You'll be bouncing around. But unless the only way to get this driveline angle in at the right angles would be to do some drastic modifications. Probably have to pull the axle forward even more, and cut and turn the axle. Not worth it in my opinion. And then what other little nuance? One more thing would just be to getting to adapt the mechanical park brake to this truck, so you could have essentially a mechanical park brake. Realistically, that would just be for emergency sake, in case your rear brake line had some kind of hydraulic issue. Then at least you could still slow down the vehicle mechanically. But I will say you have a 5-speed manual, so you can utilize that to slow the truck down drastically just with your gearing alone. So that's it for this rig walk around. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'm more than happy to try help answer. But yeah, great rig, awesome rig. Truly only a handful of these that I've seen around with the straight axle swap. Almost everywhere we go, you get people stopping, looking, asking questions. So yeah, neat rig.